Are you live today? You're usually recorded on this show, aren't you?
I'm sick, Skip.
Are you?
Yeah.
Shanson's
But
a
I'm
little,
gonna bust you up
Shanson's a
anyway.
little under the weather.
Yeah.
Are you sick?
Yeah.
Well, then we're both sick.
Ain't
Way to
nothing wrong.
go.
Ain't nothing wrong with you.
No, that's not true.
What's wrong with you?
I got some good drugs going. Antibiotics. I'm good. I'm ready.
You guys had a little too much fun on your
Yeah,
Nah,
yeah.
swelling antibiotics don't help swelling from me busting you up yesterday.
Oh, really?
Yeah, but you'll be all right. It'll go
Well,
down.
you've been dreaming. I know that.
I had some.
We've got a lot going on. Oh, you got more.
No, I ain't got no package today, Joe. I lay it off of the thing.
Oh, okay.
Till I get my wind back.
Yeah, you got to get it back together. We've got a lot going on today. Snacks Harrison from the Giants and our friend Michael Rappaport are coming up later in the show. But let's start with Kirk Cousins. He is about to become an even richer man. He can become a free agent next month, and ESPN is reporting the Jets are, quote, willing to pay whatever it takes to land Cousins. But Peter King said he thinks Cousins will ultimately end up with the Broncos. He's been franchised by the Redskins the last 2 seasons. Shannon, where will first Cousins end up? Or is he third Cousins right now?
He's still first. I believe he ends up in Denver also, Skip.
You do?
Because I believe this is the best. I believe this is the best situation for him. Now, can they pay him the most money? It looks like the Browns will have $110 million in cap space. So realistically, Skip, they could fully guarantee his contract. Well, if they fully guarantee the contract, I believe all bets are off. I mean, you're going to give somebody $130 million. I know the NFL, the other owners will not like this, especially with Matt Ryan and Aaron Rodgers coming up behind him. But here's the thing that Kirk Cousins is going to have to look at. There are going to be a lot of teams after him. The Broncos, I believe Minnesota will be in the market for a quarterback.
Jets.
The Jets, Arizona. Skip, he's going to make a ton of money. Now, he was a 4th-round draft pick, so his original contract wasn't for a whole lot of money. But being franchised the last 2 years bumped that up. So he made about $44.5, $45 million just over the last 2 years. So he's straight. He has a wife now. He has a young child, if I'm not mistaken.
He does.
The Broncos offer the best, most stable situation because they have 2 receivers, in Emmanuel Sanders and Demaryius Thomas. Now, they've had off years the last couple of years, but I believe that was because of quarterback play. They have a sound running back in C.J. Anderson.
They do.
Cleveland, they've lost 34 of their last 35 ball games. Is that a situation that you really want to go to? Now, I love Hugh Jackson, and he knows the quarterback position.
So do I.
But you get Kirk Cousins because you believe he's the piece that you're missing. Is the Cleveland Browns a quarterback away from being contenders? I don't believe so. The Jets, now, they got Robbie Anderson. He has this situation that he's going to have to deal with, Skip. Safarian Jenkins, the tight end, he's going to be a free agent.
Yep.
Matt Forte, they're probably going to release.
I would think.
So from an offensive standpoint, the Jets' pieces don't match up favorably for what Kirk wants to do.
Yep.
Because remember, Skip.
Unless he just wants to get paid. Go ahead.
If you just want a big payday.
Yeah.
But I believe Kirk is wired this way. He realizes when it's all said and done, no one will remember that Kirk Cousins got the first guaranteed contract, fully guaranteed contract. Nobody's going to remember that.
After he wins his 2 Super Bowls? Is that what you're saying?
Hey, in this business, my restaurant, Joy, all I have is W's and A's. Now, if Kirk gets lots of these dubs and go on and take them old Broncos to that Super Bowl, now, you know, there's a special place for him up there in Denver, you know. I'm not saying he's going to be in Monument Row, you know, where all the real greats, myself and the Elways and the Mecklenburg.
Wait, did you say yourself first?
Yeah, you know, well, I mean, I'm talking.
First? Are you first in that line?
No.
First in the lineage? It starts with Shannon Sharp.
But since I was talking, and, you know, that was the first thing that came to my head.
It always
But there's a lot of us, TD, Rod Smith, Steve Atwater. But, Skip, if that's what he wants, if he wants to try to go contend for a title and make good... If you can't live off 90 million guaranteed, you damn sure won't be able to live off 100 million. Because if it's going to take an extra 10 million to have the lifestyle that you want, I'm sorry, you're going to mess that up anyway. But I believe he will end up with the Broncos because I believe that's the best situation, the most stable organization, and besides, Skip, the Broncos hasn't had back-to-back losing seasons since 1971-72. Cleveland
that could be on John Elway's head, man.
But John ain't going away.
No?
Cleveland hadn't had back-to-back winning seasons probably since 1972.
That's probably true.
And the Jets, they hadn't made the playoffs since 2010, so I like the Broncos' chances.
So let me get this straight.
Yep.
After all we've discussed on the show, you are still completely taking this seriously. Like you're buying into Kirk Cousins
my first cousin. He
as
gonna be
a
good.
potential Denver Broncos savior at court, right? That's what that's what I just heard.
I just believe that the Broncos are a quarterback away from getting back to where they want to be, and that's contending for titles. Do you believe the Cleveland and the Jets are a quarterback away from contending?
I do not.
Okay. That's all.
This is utter lunacy to me. This is nothing but NFL madness to me. So I'm going to be very curt in my comments about Kirk Cousins.
Can you go, Bruce Allen put you up to that?
No,
so
he
you
did
call that
not.
man Kurt.
I like Bruce Allen, though. Kirk Cousins will wind up with the team that becomes very unhappy with how much it wound up paying for Kirk Cousins. That's what's about to happen, because Kirk Cousins is no more than a decent quarterback who's now being viewed as a mirage of a difference-making savior by all these teams that desperately need a quarterback. And Kirk Cousins is about to become the most overpaid quarterback in NFL history, and it's not even going to be close, because he's going to become the all-time biggest beneficiary of what is still, as it always has been, a quarterback-starved market in which everybody's eyes are getting bigger than their stomachs. You know how you are when you're starving and your eyes get a little too big and you see this and this and this and you say, I got to have that, I got to have that, and I got to have Kirk Cousins because he's the only one who appears to be free at this point, completely free, unless they do risk the Redskins franchise tagging him one more time, and I don't think they will.
I don't think the Players Association is going to go for that, Skip.
That is true, but if they got away with it just to get back some compensation, that would require the signing team, the trade and sign team, to pay him the franchise tag, which is $34.5 million. So I can't imagine that John Elway would pay $34.5 for Kirk Cousins.
And you have to give up draft picks to get him, if he's franchised right.
Yeah, if it came to that. So let's start with the Jets. And I read yesterday on ESPN.com the Jets are willing to break the bank. Money will be no object with the New York Jets.
Maybe even $60 million in the first year. Because Jimmy G got between 45 and 48 for 7 starts. So what are you going to have to give Kirk Cousins with all the starts that he has?
Silly me. I do not believe that Kirk Cousins is better than Josh McCown. That's what I think. Let's look at what Josh McCown did last year. He put up career numbers for a bad football team, right?
Yeah.
A bad football team. And I'm looking at this, and he completed 67% of his passes, a career high 18 touchdowns to 9 interceptions, nearly threw for 3,000 yards. His QBR was 56. You know how much I value QBR, scale of 0 to 100. So his was 56. Kirk Cousins was 50.5. So I think Josh McCown had a better year than Kirk Cousins had. Now, let's look at the scope of Kirk Cousins. I'm going to bring it up one more time. As a starting quarterback for the Washington Redskins, Kirk Cousins, 26 wins, 30 losses, and 1 tie. So he's 4 games under 500, and he's about to become, by far, the most overpaid quarterback in NFL history. And I can't even begin to get this into my brain to compute it, because his interceptions have crept up every year, have Kirk Cousins. As a starting quarterback, 11 2 years ago, then 12 a year ago, then 13 this past year. So 11, 12, and 13. Not dramatic, but they've crept up. And meanwhile, as I keep pointing out, against the arch rival in the biggest pressure cooker game that you play each year in Washington, twice a year you play, my Dallas Cowboys. Kirk Cousins finished his Redskins career 1-6 against Dallas and lost all 4 games at home to Dallas, including one on Monday Night Football to Matt Castle and the Dallas Cowboys. And his one win of in the 7 games he played was against Kellen Moore, who is now the quarterback's coach of the Dallas Cowboys. And that's all you got? And that's the guy who's going to become a $35 million quarterback, potentially at least a $30 million quarterback.
That's what happens, Skip, because we've never seen anything like this. We've never seen a quarterback with this many starts be totally free. We saw Drew Brees come up on the market, but he had less because
that's all he's got going for him. To me, he's a decent quarterback, but But his main advantage right now is he's completely free.
But that's with any free agent. With any free agent, not just quarterbacks, it's not about being good. It's about being free. Because remember, Skip, when these quarterbacks become available, why did Peyton become available? The injury. Drew Brees became available because of the injury. Because, hey, think about it. We didn't know Drew Brees was going to be this. Drew Brees was so bad, they got the #1 overall pick with Drew Brees and LaDainian Tomlinson on the roster.
Well, your Dolphins had a shot at Drew Brees, and they disqualified him because of his shoulder examination. They said it's not good.
Right, less than 10% chance. So that's what he has in his favor, Skip.
Yeah.
He's a quarterback with almost over 30 starts under his belt. He'll be 30 at the start of the season. So here's a guy that's totally free in his prime. And you don't have to give up anything. Because normally they had those they had exclusive franchise tags on him, which means if you sign him, they can match it. But if they don't, you have to give up 2 first-rounders. He's totally free, and you don't have to give up any compensation. But
there might be some compensatory pick down the line.
But that'll be next year. Yeah.
And it won't amount.
Right.
It'll be some third round.
Correct.
And you won't be able to remember what happened.
Correct.
It was. I'm also going to remind you one more time off last year. Kirk Cousins led the NFL last year in sack yards, and that's in part because of his offensive line. They get a lot of the blame, but it also tells you and warns you that Kirk Cousins is no Big Ben Roethlisberger in his ability to shrug off tackles, because at 6'3", which is plenty tall enough, he only weighs 200 pounds, so he's a little willowy. He's not a strong guy. He doesn't stand strong in the pocket. Once you get a hand on him, he's Sam Bradford-like. He will go down quickly.
But he hasn't missed any starts.
Okay, he has not. He's durable. I give you that. That's the one. That might be the biggest talking point here in his favor, is that he is durable. Hasn't missed a start.
Right.
But when you touch him, it's almost like he's a flag football quarterback. He's just going to go down, and he led the league in sack yards.
Yes.
It also shows you not mobile at all. So is that the guy? So he doesn't even have any escapability to him, and you're telling me he's transcendent?
No.
He's life-changing?
No, Skip. First of all, you don't get transcendent quarterbacks unless it's at the tail end of their career, or it's because of major injury. Drew Brees, his shoulder. Peyton Manning was his neck. See, you mentioned Josh McCown, but Josh McCown's been on 10 teams. What team has Josh McCown been on that's made the playoffs? That many. So you telling me you'd rather have Josh McCown, a guy that's been on a third of the teams in the NFL, over
Every
Kirk?
time I watch Josh McCown play, I sit back and say, you know what, he's pretty good.
Yeah.
That year he took over for Cutler in Chicago. Go back and look at those numbers. They were pretty good.
I said that 10 times. When he was in Tampa, I said, he's pretty good. Then he ends up in Chicago. He's pretty good. Then he ends up in the Jets.
Wait a second. I have never one time said Kirk Cousins is pretty good.
How about this? How many times has Josh McCown led a team to the playoffs? Kirk's gone to the playoffs.
He did, and he lasted one game at home against Aaron Rodgers, who was beat up.
Remind me of somebody else I know, Joy. Lasted one game at home.
Joy, we have to change the subject after I made the point that Kirk Cousins is 1-6 against that team.
Yes.
The arch rival Cowboys? How can you put any stock in this? How can you put stock in a guy that the Washington Redskins have had as their starting quarterback for the last 3 years? Nobody knows Kirk Cousins better than the Washington Redskins, starting with the head coach.
And they kept betting against him.
They kept betting against him, and they never could buy into him.
Well, and guess what? And they end up letting Deshaun Jackson become a free agent. They let Pierre Garçon become a free agent. His offensive line was in tatters. The tight end, Jordan Reed, cannot stay healthy for the life of himself. And so I don't really know what you want him to do. But I do know this, is that he will compete. He went to Seattle, and winning in Seattle is still a tough assignment. It's a very tough assignment. He went there with 4 backup linemen and beat that team in their building. I believe
it was in tatters and disarray, but go ahead.
But Skip,
I give you that.
It's kind of hard when you know the general manager, when you know your head coach, they're betting against you. And they've done it. They did him no favors by letting Garçon, by letting Deshaun Jackson go. They did him no favors in that. Jordan Reed can't stay healthy. So he knows, he sees what they're doing. They keep franchising him like, you're not going to do it again. And then he tops what he did the previous year as far as yards and touchdowns, got him to the playoffs. It's hard for me to believe, Skip, that they believe Alex Smith is better. I believe they traded for an older version of the guy that they're going to let go.
I think Alex Smith is way better than Kirk Cousins. And I also believe this, that Kirk Cousins is not as many issues as I have with Baker Mayfield, and we're going to talk deeply into that here in just a little while when we get into a Johnny Manziel Baker Mayfield topic.
Yes.
But as many issues as I have with Baker Mayfield, I swear to you, if I'm your Broncos, I would take a shot on Baker Mayfield before I would.
Absolutely not.
I would.
No. I'm taking a shot on no guy that's 5'11", the top 5 pick.
6 feet.
5'11".
6 feet 3/8 of an inch. 6 feet plus 3/8. So don't give me 5'11".
I'm not gonna do it, Skip.
Well,
I don't know what to tell you. Well, I tell you what. If he grow between 9 to draft another 2 inches, I got it.
Is Kirk Cousins markedly, dramatically better than Trevor Siemian? Because I don't think he is.
Skip, stop. Skip,
Listen, last year, I thought Trevor Siemian had some good moments.
No,
I did.
he had good moments against y'all.
No, I'm going back 2 years ago.
Okay, yeah.
2 years ago. Yeah.
And that's what the Broncos thought
and
also.
he did have a good one against y'all. He did. He was really good in that game, 42-17.
Skip, at some point in time, you see what a guy is. And he can't put it together consistently. You know this. The way the Broncos are built the last 2 years, with decent quarterback play consistently. Skip, they're in the playoffs. Brock Osweiler, Skip, the Houston Texans traded him and a second-round pick to get him off the books. Cleveland, as bad as Cleveland is, say, look, we want you to play in the NFL, but we'll give you $16 million just not to play here. The Broncos if the Broncos thought he could play, Skip, they'd have matched the Texans' offer. But they felt he could come back for $725. Oh, he's gonna be the bomb diggity right now. For $725, we got us a steal.
Can you imagine what it would do to John Elway's declining reputation if he pays $30 million for Kirk Cousins and he's a bust? If he stinks it up in Denver, which I believe he will.
John Elway, look, you don't become as successful as he's become off the field without taking risk. He understands that.
Even you have said he keeps swinging and missing at quarterback.
Yeah,
all right?
Drafting him.
Yeah.
Here's the thing. You don't think that was a huge gamble taking Peyton Manning? Because the Indy doctors failed him on the physical. A lot of people say they're less than 5%.
I'm not being a hypocrite about this. I was beating the desk on TV saying somebody should jump all over this because the Colts just made the biggest mistake they'll make in their franchise history. They pushed Peyton Manning out the back door.
Who's in charge of everything, paid $19 million to a guy that couldn't throw the ball over 15 yards at Duke. That's what John did. You don't think that's a risk? Because you're not going to win very many games.
I didn't, because Peyton's doctors were saying he will have a full recovery, and he did.
My doctor better say that. You operated on me and tell me I got no chance of returning. I wish you might.
Well,
you better lie.
Said it. I'm not doing 20/20 hindsight. I said he will have a full recovery, and his first year he should have been MVP. In the second year he was
55 and 10. But here's the thing, though, Skip. You and I both know Peyton's not available if he's uninjured.
Nope.
Drew Brees, I would have loved to see how this play out had Drew Brees not torn his labrum and Phillip Rivers, because Drew kept him on the bench for a number of years.
Yep.
And then he made the decision real easy for him when they said you got a 15% chance of ever playing again, because he tore the arm went around like a cartoon figure. When he tried to recover a fumble, and John Lynch, who used to work here, know Lynch very well, piled on him. But no, Skip, for a guy to be 30 years old, to come available with no injury, with this many starts, you got to pay.
What have I told you about Kirk Cousins from the start? Underconfident, overachiever. That's a dangerous combination to me. And if you give him $30 million, I believe he will slowly but surely crumble under the expectations to live up to that.
Sometimes you need somebody that believes in you. You need some jumper cable, somebody to give you that boost, Joe. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
John Elway going to believe in it.
Kirk Cousins is constantly trying to convince the media, and in effect himself, that he's that good. You like that? Remember that? You like that?
When I get that big contract, I'm getting on Snapchat. You like that?
Okay.
You like that?
Yeah. And what did he do to the Redskins GM after one big game? How you like me now? Mussing his hair, right? How you like me now?
You should have called him. You should have hit him in the stomach. Well, I wish somebody would pat me on my head like I'm a child.
Okay, but that's all underdog mentality, right? That's okay. Now
because he kept betting against him.
You're going to be the overdog now. You're going to be the prohibitive favorite. If Denver signs him for $30-odd million, there's going to be some in that locker room, some of the defensive players are going to say, God, like Von Miller might just say, really? This guy makes $30 million?
Von wants him. Von's been
I know he said that publicly.
But Skip, it's one thing. Oh, look, I get it. Behind the scenes, like, I don't know if this guy can play. But to publicly, and Kirk knows, he's up there in the batter's box swinging. I bet Kirk strike out. Hold up, bro, you on my team. I mean, normally the opposing team batter, swing. They don't do that when their own players are up, but that's what Washington was doing. Their own quarterback, they're betting against.
And you should take that to your bank that you're about to break for Kirk Cousins.
That's Washington. That's what they do. That's Daniel Snyder.
Okay.
That's Bruce Allen. Why should I be surprised at anything they do?
Okay. I'm going to say one last thing about Baker Mayfield. He is a supremely confident overachiever. So he's supremely confident. While Kirk's not sure, Baker is totally sure of what he is. He's an overachiever.
Yeah, he was confident that he could outrun the police.
He did. He
police had on house shoes and count with a flashlight and a big old jacket on.
Yeah.
Baker took 2 steps.
I think he's about a
police had him on.
I think he's about a 4.8 40 guy. So I'm not saying he can run away from you downfield.
No, he can't outrun Kirk now.
He can probably outrun Kirk. Kirk can't outrun him.
I don't know. Listen, why you going to be worried? He going to be in Denver. So you got to be one less, but you got enough headaches on your hand as it is.
I'm trying to take care of you.
No.
I'm trying to save you from yourself.
Well,
You're betting on the wrong guy.
Well,
you heard it here first.
When we're in Atlanta next year and the Broncos are getting ready for the Super Bowl,
Seriously?
I have to come on. I'm going to have old Kirk to come on with him.
Is that your prediction?
Goodness.
Is that what, okay? So I think Shannon Sharp just predicted if Kirk Cousins signs with the Denver Broncos, they're going to the Super Bowl.
All I said is that when we're in Atlanta and the Broncos are participating in Super Bowl, what will it be? 52?
I don't know.
53. 53? Yeah.
I welcome Kirk Cousins.
No, see, Skip, you making it hard for me.
But he'll come for you, not for me.
You've got a little LeVar in you this morning. You're like trying to speak this into existence.
We need it.
Yeah.
Because I just know what
you need something.
I know what the Broncos are capable of if they get consistent. I'm not saying he
draft Baker Mayfield.
No.
Yes.
Skip, you're not. First of all, I'm not drafting no quarterback that's 5'11" '3/4.
He's not 5'11" '3/4. He's 6 feet and 3/8.
Oh my goodness.
That's a big difference.
No, I'm not doing it. I'm not doing it.
How close is LeBron to catching the great Michael Jordan?
He might already be in front of it.
Oh, yeah.